The first time Dr. Sarah Mitchell put her hands on my chest, I was dying. At least that's what it felt like in that moment, lying on the emergency room table at 2 in the morning, my heart racing at 200 beats per minute, stars dancing across my vision, absolutely certain this was the end. I remember her face appearing above me, calm and focused despite the chaos around us, her green eyes locking onto mine as she said, "Claire, I need you to stay with me. Look at me, not at anything else. Just me." Her voice was steady, commanding, the kind of voice that made you believe everything would be okay even when your body was screaming that it wouldn't. And as her hands worked quickly, efficiently bringing my heart rate down and pulling me back from the edge, I had no idea that the woman saving my life would end up stealing my heart in ways I never saw coming. Tell me where you're watching from. Drop your city in the comments below, and if stories like mine touch you, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps this channel reach more people discovering unexpected connections and second chances at life and love. My name is Claire Anderson, and before the night I almost died, I thought I had my life under control. I was 28, a graphic designer working at a boutique agency in Seattle, engaged to a perfectly nice man named David who worked in tech, living in a perfectly nice apartment in Capitol Hill. Everything was fine. Not great, not passionate, but fine. Safe. Predictable. The kind of life that looks perfect from the outside even when it feels empty on the inside. The heart problems started small. Occasional fluttering in my chest that I'd brush off as anxiety or too much coffee. Then they got worse. Racing heartbeat that would last for hours, dizziness, shortness of breath. But I was busy and I told myself I was fine. And I kept putting off seeing a doctor until the night my heart rate hit 200, and I ended up in the A thinking I was having a heart attack at 28. That's when Sarah entered my life. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, 34, one of the hospital's top cardiology specialists despite her relative youth. She was tall and athletic looking, with shoulder-length auburn hair usually pulled back in a practical ponytail, striking green eyes, and the kind of confidence that came from years of saving lives. When she walked into my ube that night, something about her presence immediately made me feel safer, even though I was terrified. "Claire, I'm Dr. Mitchell. I'm going to figure out what's going on and fix it, okay?" She took my hand, checking my pulse while maintaining eye contact. "Your heart is in something called supraventricular tachycardia, which sounds scarier than it is. We're going to reset it. I need you to trust me." She administered medication, talked me through the process, and within minutes my heart rate started coming down. The relief was overwhelming, and I started crying from the combination of fear and gratitude. "Hey, you're okay now," Sarah said gently, squeezing my hand. "But we need to figure out why this happened, so we can prevent it from happening again. I'm admitting you overnight for observation and tests." Over the next 24 hours, Sarah became my anchor. She ordered a full cardiac workup, explained every test in terms I could understand, and checked on me far more frequently than necessary. I learned I had an arrhythmia that could be managed with medication or possibly fixed with a minor procedure. Sarah recommended trying medication first, which meant regular follow-up appointments with her. "I want to see you weekly for the first month to make sure we agree getting the dosage right and you not having side effects," she explained. "Then we can space it out if everything looks good." David visited once during my hospital stay, stayed for 20 minutes, seemed uncomfortable around all the medical equipment, and left promising to pick me up when I was discharged. Sarah noticed his absence. "Your fiancé working?" she asked during one of her evening rounds. "Big project deadline," I said automatically, then realized I was making excuses. "He's not great with hospitals." Something flickered in Sarah's eyes, understanding maybe, but she didn't comment. "Well, you've got my direct line if anything comes up before your appointment next week. Don't hesitate to use it." The weekly appointments became the highlights of my life, which should have told me something. Sarah was brilliant and dedicated, but she was also warm and funny in a way that surprised me. During our appointments, we'd talk about more than just my heart. She'd ask about my work, my interests, my life. I learned she'd gone to medical school at Johns Hopkins, did her residency at Mass General, and relocated to Seattle 3 years ago. She loved hiking and rock climbing, was obsessed with true crime podcasts, and had a rescue dog named Bowie, after David Bowie. I asked during our third appointment. Of course. Greatest artist of all time. You a fan? Huge fan. I have a Ziggy Stardust poster in my office. Her smile lit up her whole face. Okay, that officially makes you my favorite patient. The medication worked, my heart rate stabilized, and I should have been relieved. Instead, I felt sad that my appointments would be spreading out, which meant less time with Sarah. I started noticing things about her that had nothing to do with medicine. The way she'd push her hair behind her ear when concentrating. The warmth in her eyes when she smiled. The way her scrubs somehow looked elegant on her athletic frame. The gentleness of her hands when she listened to my heart. I told myself I was just grateful that it was natural to feel attached to someone who saved your life. But gratitude doesn't explain why my own heart rate would spike every time I saw her name on my appointment reminder, or why I'd spend extra time getting ready for cardiology appointments, or why I found myself thinking about her constantly. 3 months into treatment, during a routine appointment, Sarah asked about my wedding planning. It's going okay, I lied. We're thinking next spring. You don't sound excited. Just stressed. Wedding planning is overwhelming. Sarah put down her stethoscope and looked at me directly. Claire, I'm going to step outside my role as your doctor for a second. Are you happy? Really happy? The question caught me completely off guard. I don't know. I thought I was. But lately, everything feels wrong. Like I'm going through motions of a life that doesn't fit me anymore. The heart attack scare will do that. Facing mortality makes you question everything. She paused. Can I tell you something personal? Of course. I was engaged once in medical school. Nice guy, stable career, exactly what I was supposed to want. But I wasn't happy, and I kept making excuses and pushing the wedding date back until I finally admitted the truth. I was gay. I'd been lying to myself for years, and I needed to stop living for other people's expectations and start living for myself. My heart was pounding, and not from arrhythmia. How did you know? That you were gay? I kept falling for women and telling myself it was just admiration or friendship. Until I met someone who made me feel things I'd never felt with any man, and I couldn't deny it anymore. She met my eyes. Why do you ask? I don't know. Maybe because I've been having similar thoughts lately. Questioning things I never questioned before. Like, what? Like why I've never felt passion for David or any of the men I've dated. Like why certain women make my heart race in ways men never have. Like why I look forward to these appointments more than I look forward to seeing my fiancé. The air between us shifted, became charged with something unspoken. Claire, Sarah said carefully, I need to be clear about something. You're my patient. There are ethical boundaries I cannot cross regardless of any personal feelings that might exist. Do you understand? Are you saying you have personal feelings? I'm saying that you're intelligent, funny, brave, and beautiful, and under different circumstances, I would absolutely ask you out. But I can't. Not while I'm your doctor. Then stop being my doctor. It's not that simple. You still need cardiac follow-up. Then refer me to another cardiologist. Claire, you need to think about this carefully. You're engaged. You're questioning your sexuality. These are huge, life-changing realizations, and you shouldn't make impulsive decisions based on feelings for someone who might just represent change rather than being what you actually want. What if you're both? What if you represent change and you're also what I want? Sarah looked torn, conflicted. Go home. Think about your life, your engagement, what you actually want. If you decide you need a different cardiologist, I'll make the referral. If you decide you want to explore these feelings about your sexuality, do it on your own terms, not because of me. But if you figure out what you want and it includes possibly exploring something with me, then come back and we'll talk about next steps. I went home to David and our perfectly nice apartment and our perfectly nice life, and I knew it was over. Not because of Sarah specifically, but because she'd helped me see the truth. I wasn't happy. I'd never been happy with David. I'd been performing heterosexuality and traditional success because it was expected, not because it was true. I'd spent my entire life being attracted to women and telling myself it was admiration or wanting to be them. But what I actually wanted was to be with them. To date them, kiss them, build a life with them. The realization was terrifying and liberating all at once. I ended my engagement that night. David was hurt but not devastated, which told me he'd felt the disconnect too. He moved out within a week, and I spent the next month in therapy processing everything, figuring out who I actually was underneath years of compulsory heterosexuality. 2 months after our conversation, I called Sarah's office and requested a referral to a different cardiologist. She called me back personally. "Hi, Claire. I can absolutely make that referral. Can I ask why?" "Because I ended my engagement. Because I spent 2 months in therapy figuring myself out. Because I'm gay, or at least queer, and I'm done pretending to be someone I'm not. And because if there is any chance you meant what you said about asking me out under different circumstances, I'd like to give you that chance." There was a long pause. "I'll refer you to Dr. Patel. He's excellent. Once that transfer is complete and you're no longer my patient, call me. Not at this number. I'll text you my personal cell." 3 weeks later, officially no longer Sarah's patient, I texted her. We met for coffee at a cafe on Capitol Hill, both nervous and excited. "I need to know you're sure about this," Sarah said. "Not about me specifically, but about this new understanding of yourself. I won't be someone's experiment or their coming out story that ends badly." "I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything. I spent 28 years living a lie and I'm done lying. This is who I am. And yes, you helped me see it, but it's not about you. It's about me finally being honest with myself." "Okay then," she smiled. "So, would you like to go on an actual date with me, maybe dinner this weekend?" I would love that. Dating Sarah was nothing like anything I'd experienced before. It was easy and natural and filled with a passion I'd never felt with anyone. She was brilliant and kind and funny, and being with her felt like finally breathing properly after years of holding my breath. We took it slow initially, both aware of how our relationship had started and wanting to make sure this was real and healthy, and not just based on gratitude or the drama of near death and big life changes. But 3 months in, I was completely in love with her, and she with me. 6 months after our first date, I moved into her house in Queen Anne. A year after that, she proposed to me on a hiking trail near Mount Rainier, the place she said she'd started falling for me even though she couldn't act on it at the time. That was 4 years ago. Sarah and I got married at a small ceremony with close friends and family, both of us having lost some people who couldn't accept us but gained a community that celebrated us. I changed careers, finally pursuing illustration instead of corporate design. Sarah is now head of cardiology at her hospital. We have 2 rescue dogs, a vegetable garden, and a life that's messy and real and entirely ours. My heart still has occasional arrhythmias, but they're managed. And every time I look at Sarah, I'm reminded that the same person who saved my life physically also saved it emotionally by helping me see the truth about myself. If you've ever discovered something fundamental about yourself later than expected, if you've ever been brave enough to blow up a safe life for an authentic one, if you've ever found love in the most unexpected place, I want to hear your story. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and please subscribe to help these stories reach people who need to know it's never too late to become who you really are. Thank you for being here, for listening, for believing that second chances at life and love are always possible.